All right guys, today we're going to change the tune on the HiKNIGHT GTX1. So the first thing you're going to need is this Bluetooth dongle, and you can purchase this from Iconic Cycles. I'll put a link in the description. I do have a promo code if you want to save some money. In the previous video, we weren't sure if this was actually a far driver controller. We removed the cover, and yes, it is a far driver controller. There's this 4-pin connector. So once you remove the cover, this 4-pin connector is where you attach the Bluetooth dongle. Connect it, and that's it. And this is how you can tune the HiKNIGHT GTX1. All right guys, so we have the far driver app opened. We're going to turn the bike on. Bike is on. It says error 11. That's because the dongle is connected to the bike. Plenty of videos if you want to know more about the far driver, so I won't get into it in this video. So we actually reached out to Ryan Goodyear from Iconic Cycles, and he gave us pretty much a base tune. All right, so on the first screen, which is parameters, you're going to change max speed from 4,600 RPM to 9,000 RPM, rated speed from 52 RPM to 9,000 RPM, throttle acceleration step from 224 to 220, throttle deck step from 128 to 224, and throttle low from 1 volt to 0.95 volts. All right, so now let's change the ratios in speed. So 500 RPM down to 5,500 RPM. We're going to change all that to 100%. And then on the right side, 1,000 RPM down to 5,000 RPM. We're going to change those numbers to 100% as well. Back to the left side, 6,500 RPM is 90%. 7,500 RPM is 85%. 8,500 RPM is 85%. Right side, 6,000 RPM is 95%, 7,000 RPM is 85%, 8,000 RPM is 85%, and 9,000 RPM is 80%. And we'll also change the limit speed from 3,000 RPM to 5,500 RPM. And then next is ratios in gear. We'll change low speed from 2,000 RPM to 4,000 RPM, and then middle speed from 2,860 RPM to 7,500 RPM. Okay, we'll go down to protect, and we'll change low voltage protect from 38 volts to 36.1 volts, and then full battery cutoff from 1250 to 1225. And then we change AN10 to 0. Last thing we're going to do is disable regen. So under functions on the lower right where it says follow, 0 follow enabled, we'll actually choose 1 disabled, and then we'll save that. And then the last thing I want to show you guys is if we go to simple mode, I kind of changed some of the settings for the 3-speed parameters. So gear high power output is 100%, gear middle is 91%, gear low is 88%, gear high speed 100%, gear middle speed 75%, gear low speed 50%. So those are the new settings for the HiKNIGHT. We'll actually turn off the bike. For the controller to function properly, you actually have to disconnect the Bluetooth module. So we'll remove that. We actually have the motor up on a stand right now, so we could actually test the top speed. Turn that on. Go into ride mode. We'll bump it up to 3, and we'll turn the throttle. Looks like we're hitting about 97 kilometers per hour. All right, so 97 kilometers per hour is about 60 miles per hour when you convert it. So 60 miles per hour with the wheels up, wheels down with the rider, obviously going to be different. So we'll test this out on the Dragy, but I think we're gonna get some higher top speed.
In 3, 2, 1. Good launch. Already almost up to 20. Nice, 25. Oh yeah, that motor's spinning now. 30. Come on, hit 35. Oh man, maybe on the downhill we'll hit 35, but it's close. Here we go. 34. Come on, 35. 35. All right, 36, and I gotta turn. Not bad, not bad, pretty quick. Uphill test in 3, 2, 1. Okay, good launch, good launch. It's accelerating up the hill, not quickly, but it's doing it. We're at 20. 24, 25. Yeah, if you live in like a smaller city where you really don't have to go fast, you can stay in the bike lanes and the cops don't care, this thing would be fun. Just because it wheelies so good. I don't know for what it is, it's just really fun and the suspension is good. So if you can find some little dirt trails and stuff, it'd just be a fun little urban explorer. But it's definitely not going to win you any straight line races, that's for sure. Yeah, pretty good. I like it.
Okay, first ride with the HiKNIGHT GTX1 with the new tune. Shout out to Iconic Cycles. This is like one of the easiest upgrades you could do, just changing the tune. All you need is the Bluetooth dongle, so definitely click that link in the description if you want one. Anyway, let's try power level 1. So I don't notice a big difference on the low end on power level 1. Even in the original video, it felt pretty tame. We did change some of the settings in the RPM, but I think the low end, just how the bike is set up, it's not a big difference from the original tune. Let's bump it up to power level 2. Okay, I noticed that. Definitely a noticeable difference on 2. Way more responsive. Oh yeah. This is kind of how the bike should have came. It's a big difference between 1 and 2, let's just say that. Let's try 3 now. Oh yeah. Yeah, this is nice. This is definitely how 3 should have came. Could feel that torque in the low end. Way faster. It's a higher top speed, obviously. And then let's try balancing it on 2. So 2 still takes a little bit to get up there, but once you're at balance point, not a problem. So yeah, 2 low end, not a big difference from before, but once you get the wheel up, it feels more responsive once the RPMs start hitting. 3. Yeah. Very nice. Definite improvement, higher top speed, way more throttle response, especially on power level 3, that's the biggest difference. And the fact that you could customize the tune, I think that is probably the best reason to just purchase a Bluetooth dongle and get into the controller. Like I mentioned, all you have to do is take out the cover to access the controller, and it's just plug and play. The 4-pin connector is right there. Other than that, I don't know if I would change anything else on this bike. Brakes are good. One other thing, a lot of people are asking in the comments, how does this compare to the Yasma in 10? Similar, right? Similar specs, but there are just some subtle differences. I think the Yasma for sure has more low end. You know, you could really, especially with our new controller in it, Far Driver 72300, you can't actually install that in here because it's a different bolt pattern. Maybe you can. The Yasma has just a little bit more torque, and I think it has a larger sprocket as well. You know, this is a smaller sprocket, so it's not going to have that kind of same pop. I think if you're doing slow wheelies or, you know, you're just riding it like off-road, the top end is where it really shines, I think, and the geometry of the bike, right? Even though it's takes a little bit more effort to pop it up than the Yasma, I think the geometry once you get it up is really nice. Like, it just feels like a little bit longer. I might be imagining that. I don't know if the wheelbase is actually longer. It just feels like it. The Yasma, it feels like it's going to tip over, you know, like unless you hit the sweet spot. But this setup is just a little bit more forgiving once you once you get to balance point, at least for me as a shorter rider, but I think Sully felt the same way. You just have a little bit more room on the saddle seat, and it kind of like hugs you a little bit. I don't know. That's all I got to say about that.
So Rick got a new tune from our boy Ryan Goodyear. It's, you know, just basically bumping it up a little bit in all the categories. We're just gonna try and just do like some light stunting and just ride around and see what it's like. So right off the bat, I don't remember what one felt like before, but this feels a lot more like it, you know, it's doable, but it's not very strong. So let's bump it up one. Let's go to 2. Okay. That's enough to wheelie. It's actually really strong. This kind of feels how it did before, where you kind of had to be like really at like a really low speed to pop it up, but it pops up by itself. You don't really have to pull too hard. Click it into mode 3 while we're doing a wheelie. All right, now we're in mode 3. Don't notice much difference in the low end right now, but let's try doing a wheelie at speed, because this is where it struggled before. Last time when we were doing this, you had to basically be moving like 1 mile an hour to pop it up. So I'm gonna come at you and pop it up. You know, now let's see if it can pop it up at like, you know, maybe like 10 mile an hour or so. Oh yeah, no problem. Much, much better. Now it's got much more power. Well, I saved the bike. I haven't done that in a very long time. Yeah, that seat's really slippery, and then as soon as you get on this plastic, your butt just slips right off and it's game over. So, yeah, let's continue with this and let's try some other things other than sit downs. So, going to the knee knocks now, and I really love the suspension on this bike. It's pretty cushy, and it really helps like rebound in the front. Oh, see if I could transition, but yeah, no, it's really good for that. Let's see if we can do some circles. Oh yeah, feels real good. A little death spin maybe? Nope, no death spin. Okay, all right. Is it better? Yeah, it's definitely got a lot more torque down low, but it still kept the smoothness of the tune. So yeah, definitely a solid recommend to do this tune.